Marriage is sweet, but not always refined.
We are here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly in marriage, and we're definitely going to laugh along the way.
Because after all, marriage doesn't have to suck.
That's right.
I'm August.
And I'm Ashley.
And this is the Raw Sugar Podcast. Well, what are we going to talk about today, baby?
So we titled this episode, That's Not My Job.
Well, it's not my job.
It's not my job.
Well, if it's not your job, whose job is it?
It's not my job. Why did we title it, This Is Not My Job?
Because it's the most annoying thing in the world to hear someone say, That's not my job. Exactly. Jeez.
Listen.
And how many times have you heard that on the job or in life? And you don't want to hear it in your home,
yeah,
right?
It's so annoying to hear, especially couples, say, that's not my job. Because as far as I'm concerned, when you got married, that sentence should have been removed.
That's right. You're a team.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're talking about, just to give reference here, we're talking about household chores, the day-to-day, the things that need to be done to run a household.
Totally.
It's both of your jobs. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
100%. So when we first, just to give you like a little backstory, when we first got married up until kind of recently, our
8 years.
our life, we were like kind of stuck in this cycle of, I don't want to say uncleanliness.
Definitely not uncleanliness.
No, we were clean. Mm-hmm. Like our house was clean, but it just wasn't like deep clean. Do you know what I'm saying?
And like, it wasn't deep cleaned, but it was also wasn't organized, and it was just doing whatever needed to be done in the moment just to like get through. And there were a lot of things that were left on the back burner.
Undone.
And it was like this vicious cycle of just, always needing to do something to keep the house going. And then when you have some time off, when you have the opportunity to, that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to rest. You want to relax. You want to have time with your spouse or spend time with your kids. You don't want to spend it cleaning, doing dishes, laundry. So we found ourselves in this vicious cycle. And I don't know about you, babe, but that made me feel anxious.
Oh,
and
whenever I walked into the house, I was always like, probably immediately giving that attitude, honestly. Because
never.
It sets me off. Like, and I think our schedules, there was a point when August worked 2 jobs.
Yeah, for
and I was
quite a few
at
years,
home
2
with the
full-time
kids
jobs.
By myself. And, I'd be lying if I didn't say I kind of had a little bit of like, that's not my job inside of me. Like when it came to maybe laundry, if
it's not your job, it's definitely not my job. Because I'm working 2 full-time jobs.
And that's not,
that's how it happens right there. That's how it happens.
That wasn't intentional. I mean, now I'm kind of looking back and I'm like, ooh, I did kind of have like that's not my job somewhere deep down. Unintentionally, because I was kind of like, I'm doing all this other stuff. Like, that's not my job. I do not get life out of doing laundry. I hate laundry. I hate ironing. I don't iron. Like, there are a lot of things that I was just kind of like, I don't. And that's just not the best place to be in, because then it's just never getting done. And like, then I'm kind of putting it on him. And then if it's never getting done, then I'm kind of like, well, why aren't you doing the one thing that I expect you to do? And like...
Yeah, that's how a lot of arguments and just built up frustrations can happen. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. And, it is also worth saying that your background can have a lot to do with this as well. I mean, I know for me, I grew up...
Totally.
I grew up in a home where, deep cleaning was never a thing.
Not happening.
Never, ever deep cleaned. It's the bare essentials. We cleaned the bathroom once a year, maybe when the pee got a little too. This is Raw Sugar Podcast, all right? We're talking about the sweet and it's raw.
No wonder why I've stepped in pee in the bathroom.
No, you've never done that. But so I was I was raised by my father, so single parent household, and then it was mostly my brother and I and him. Our older sister was with us for a little while, but she was older, and then she's doing her thing, and so it's predominantly like a lot of testosterone in the house, and there just wasn't this precedence that was set. And I remember it was so funny. We were over at our friend's house one night, and I was probably in maybe 6th grade, something like that. Very, very capable. And we had gotten done with dinner, and it was their policy, like their family policies. After you get done with dinner, all the kids help clean up. And they had 4 kids in this household, plus my brother and I. So there's 6 of us, and we're all cleaning up. And their dad gave me the broom, and he's like, all right, sweep up the kitchen. And this is so embarrassing. I had no idea. In 6th grade, may have been 7th, I had no idea how to sweep a floor. And so they were making fun of me about it. So yeah, that's kind of embarrassing. I just didn't grow up cleaning. And that also, in turn, it's pretty bad. And then in turn, when I first moved out of the house and moved out, and for the first time, I'm a grown man. I moved from Michigan to Las Vegas, and I moved in with some buddies of mine. And one of the guys that we moved in with was probably about 10, 15 years older than me. He's been on his own for years and years and years. And I remember one time he brought my buddy and I down in the morning, and he said, guys, look at this kitchen. Just look at this kitchen right now. This is unacceptable. And my buddy and I just left the kitchen just dirty, which was just normal to me. I can't speak for my buddy, but it was normal to me. And it was a rude wake-up call, to say, August, you have to take... you're a grown man. You're taking care of yourself right now. It's time for you to step it up. And so he was really instrumental in me just really thinking outside the box of like, oh, okay, there's no one that's going to do it. My dad's not going to do it. My brother's not going to do it. This is all on me. So did you have a similar experience growing up, Amy?
I did not.
Well, it's glad to know I'm all by myself.
So I grew up in a household where... Okay, so I didn't move out until we got married. So I lived with my parents until, we got married when I was 20.
I think you were 21.
21. So, I was young still. But,
yeah, jeez.
But I lived with my parents, and I didn't move out until then. And my parents were clean. My mom would always clean, and... I can't say that they actually taught me how to clean. So there's that, Mm-hmm. But then there's also the dynamic of my dad was not the friendliest when you didn't do things the way that he wanted them done. And so it would just create a whole big thing that, eventually you're just kind of you either choose to have an argument or you choose to have an argument about not doing it. Either way you're gonna be in an argument. So I think I just chose
what would be an example of that?
Well, if I chose to actually do the dishes, inevitably I'd be doing them wrong.
You'd put them away.
You'd be washing them wrong, you're putting them away wrong. And so you just can't you can't be right. And so then, my 21-year-old self was kind of screw it. I'm not going to do it at all then.
Wow.
And so I kind of I did my own laundry, and I, kept up with my own things, but ouch. But I didn't really deep clean, and then my mom, I would do the bare minimum in my bathroom, and then my mom would go the extra mile because she couldn't handle it anymore, and she'd like clean my bathroom, you know? So I like never really was taught how to deep clean anything. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen I know my mom did, but like I never saw her actually do it. So as an adult, you know, we get married and both of us are bringing these wonderful, you know, childhood upbringings into this wonderful marriage.
Right.
And so then, you know, up until now, our house has only been deep cleaned when we're moving out of it.
I know. Oh my God.
I hate to say that,
Yeah.
but it really is true. And here we are. This is raw sugar,
This
and
is
we
raw
will never
sugar.
sugarcoat anything. We aren't clean, or we're not dirty people, but like up until this point, we haven't been like
Up until
deep
like
cleaners.
2 months ago, up until the beginning of the year, up until a couple months ago. And you know, even though we had very different upbringings, you know what we did have in common? One thing. Do you know what that is?
I think I know.
Both of our fathers were hoarders. We grew up in a hoarding environment.
Okay, but I have to say, your dad was worse.
I don't know.
His dad was worse.
When we were going through his things after he passed away, it was and another light just went out. How is this possible? Another light.
Y'all who are listening on the podcast, every single episode we have had something go wrong.
Oh my
And right
God.
now, one of our lights just went out.
And
But it's fine.
And we have one light literally taped to the wall because the fixture broke. Oh my goodness. But this was
that one's
fully
probably going to go out too.
Babe, this was fully charged when we started. We've only been going for 13 minutes. Anyways, we're here. We're here for you. All right, we're doing this. But when we were going through our father's things after he passed away, it took us 2 solid weeks to get through most of it. I had to fly back home after 2 weeks, and they still weren't done going through my father's things. And then
I just remember when I was there, I walked in the first day, and like I hadn't really been in his dad's apartment like at all. I probably had only gone in the kitchen when he was, you know, alive. And so this was my first time like actually getting to experience the apartment. And I walked upstairs and opened a door and I stared and I closed it.
You know, you can visualize it. There's, when you're walking through the apartment, there's just a trail for you to walk in. Mm-hmm. There's on each side of that trail are just random, just trinkets,
just everything.
Stacks of magazines, letters.
Whatever you gave him, he still
kept.
had.
He kept.
Yeah.
And if you were one of his students, he was an amazing teacher. If you were one of his students and you gave him something, we found it. It was in boxes.
Yeah. My dad
everything
was more like, I think just because of his upbringing, he was just kind of like, we spent money on this.
We're going to keep it.
We're going to keep it. One day you might, you know, need it. And so it just all went in the garage.
The garage.
And eventually we couldn't park in the garage. And so anyway, we're here to tell you that that's one of the things that we had committed to ourselves that we are not going to bring into our family dynamic.
We are not going to be hoarders.
Yeah.
And our credit.
Actually, we refuse to. Like, we go through things all the time.
Yep. We organize things. We keep what's really, really special. We have a couple boxes, our keepsake boxes that we keep. Everything else, it's either given away or thrown away, or, you know, we obviously try to find a home for it.
Yeah.
But it's out of the house. So I'm really proud of us with that.
Yeah. We've done that from the very beginning. We just weren't very good at, like, deep cleaning and really organizing to the point where every single thing has a place. And I don't think it's until the beginning of the year that we really realized we need that kind of structure. Like, we need not just for ourselves, but for our kids. Like, order to, it just came to a point where we're like, we have so many things in our heart that we want to do. And I know for me, it just felt like I don't even have space for it or even the mental capacity, because our home is not together. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to have to put any energy towards cleaning every day and like cleaning up after our kids and, you know, all of the messes that happen consistently
Oh
throughout
my
the day.
God.
And I think it's a thing where parents are just like, it's like laughable how much laundry, you know, like can grow within a family. But I can say now that there is like, we have a system, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't have to be, there's a huge mountain of laundry that feels so overwhelming and it's going to take us hours to get through it all. Hours of your day that could be committed somewhere else, like to building your business or spending time with your family or whatever it may be. It's like creating that system is so important. And another thing that's important is doing it together, which is where we wanted to title this, That's Not My Job, because that line, if you've ever thought that or have said that or have been raised in a family where that it was a frequent flyer sentence, it just needs to be removed.
That's right.
Because the reality is nothing is going to get done the way that it should unless you're doing it together.
So what were some of the things that we did that took us from being unorganized, it being pretty much a consistent, there's always some type of mess to clean up, always some type of tornado, big pile of laundry, anything, whatever that may be, the kitchen is all filthy and dirty. What brought us from that point to, I mean, here we sit, our house consistently for the past 3 months has never been so clean.
Oh my gosh.
We've never,
so incredible.
Yeah. And we've never worked less on it. We've never spent less time. We're more organized. We're feeling better. Here we are. We're getting our creative stuff done. The things that we've been talking and dreaming about. We're getting that done. Yeah, we can dream.
We have the mental capacity to be able to dream.
So,
we are here to seriously give you the secret sauce. Just saying.
Right. That's right.
We're going to give it to you right now. Are you ready for it?
Are you ready?
I hope you're ready for it. It's so easy.
All right.
I don't know why we didn't do this like a long time ago, honestly.
We're learning, babe. We're getting better.
At the beginning of the year, I said, babe, we need a family planner. Okay. So if you don't have a pen and paper or your phones out, get your notes out right now. You need in your life a family planner. And I'm not talking about one of those cute ones that has like no breakage down of time. I'm talking about you are now a hairstylist and you're going to go out and you're going to get a hair appointment book. That's exactly what we did.
Broken down with 15-minute increments.
Yes.
Okay. Not just random, okay, well, there's a 24-hour period and we get things done within 24 hours. No. Don't do that.
Okay, so we went and got a hair appointment book. That is what I call our family planner. We break everything down, literally, you guys, by the...
Yeah, I mean, by the half hour.
Yeah,
I'd say
the half hour.
That's pretty standard.
But
you have to, if you're going to change your routine, if you're going to change your life, you have to go all in.
Yeah.
And you have to be, if time management is something you want to hone in on, you've got to be very detailed. And that's what we did. And so we broke everything down from the moment that we wake up, what we're going to do through the end of the day.
Yeah.
And
like even how much time we're going to be spending with the kids. Like we wake up, we do, well, I'm not going to go through the whole schedule, but everything is like for real broken down. And so we started once a week implementing a deep clean and organization, or however you want to say that, of some part of our home.
Yeah, one room.
Yeah, one room a week, so that it just doesn't feel super overwhelming. Because I feel like when you start talking about, like, when the Marie Kondo thing came out, I think everyone was kind of watching that and being like, that's so awesome, but whoa, that is so overwhelming. Because you don't have Marie Kondo coming to your house. Like, right? You're not on the TV show, and it's not as, like, awesome and cool when you don't have Marie Kondo coming to do it. And so then it just feels super overwhelming and a lot of work, and no one who has time for that. Like, honestly, what couple has time for that unless you're going to take time off to do that? And so, like, for us, we didn't have that kind of time. So we're like, let's just break it down. We're not in a rush. One room a week. And it's fine. We're going to give ourselves an hour, maybe more, to really dig in and do this. We're going to organize everything. We're going to clean everything. And I mean, we started with our patio storage, and it felt so good.
I can't even tell you.
Like, it was kind of like a
difference that it
rush,
makes.
right?
Yeah.
It gave us like energy. We're like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing, and I feel so good, and I can see everything, and like, we got rid of all the things that we don't even, and we're not even hoarders, and we got rid of so much stuff that we just really didn't need. It was just like, I don't have like a heart attachment to this, and it's not
kind of a
like
spiritual
big deal.
experience.
It really is. It really was like,
And this weight is lifted off your shoulders. Do not discount the feeling that you are going to have.
Oh my gosh.
Don't just brush off this point.
Yeah.
Seriously. And so not only are you organizing it, but you're cleaning it. You're deep cleaning, and you're just going from room to room, and you're only doing one a week, so it's not overwhelming. And you do it together. Yeah. And when you do it together, you're able to hammer.
So much faster.
You're able to hammer it out. So if you work Monday through Friday, do this for 1 hour on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, or a Sunday. And that's it. That's one commitment. So the first tip, get a family planner. Second tip, do one room a week to deep clean. Tip number 3, one load of laundry a day.
Yes.
Game
it's so important.
changer.
Wash it, dry it, fold it, put it away. Like, that is a rule.
So easy.
Yeah.
One a day. And that keeps this mountain. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how many times I've folded laundry, and it literally takes me like 2 hours, maybe more, sometimes 3 hours to just fold this pile that's literally takes over the whole living room.
Yeah. You know what else goes in with that category of laundry?
What?
Dishes.
Dishes.
You guys, I hate dishes. So that is another thing. Like, we don't leave the house unless the dishes are put away.
Yeah,
like,
from like breakfast or lunch or something like that.
So we've just set a rule, like, no one leaves the house unless the house is clean. The kids' room all their toys have to be put away, or we don't get to go. And we have the same responsibility. So we tell them, well, you have to put your stuff away, but so do we. We have the kitchen to clean. We have, like, things to tidy up. And then when you come back, it's like you're just starting fresh. It's like a clean slate every single time. And you don't feel like you're always trying to catch up and catch up and catch up and catch up. It's just like, okay, we're starting all over again now that we're home. And it seems like a simple thing, but it really is. Like, there are some days I'm like, no, I'm gonna stick true to what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna do these dishes even though I really don't want to. And it is what it is, and it's made a huge difference.
It has. And I think part of that is also one of the things that's helped us is keeping our kids accountable for their own cleanliness as far as their room is concerned. Now, they are of age. Obviously, our youngest is 1.5. He's out of that category. But we have a 3-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old daughter. And so they are very capable of putting their shoes in their shoe basket, of putting their dirty clothes in the dirty hamper. So that's the kind of thing that we're keeping them accountable. And so if they want to, in the afternoon, if they want to go and do anything fun, if they want to go out to the park, if they want to do anything, girls, your room has to be clean.
Yeah.
And so when you're starting from a clean slate, it's not going to be this huge, long, drawn out process of cleanliness.
Yeah.
If you're already starting from a clean kitchen, you made breakfast, you maybe juiced, you did some other things, it's going to be a quick cleanup because you're starting from a clean slate.
Yeah, totally. And also it's going to be, I just want to reiterate, it'll be so much quicker when you do it together.
That's right. Yeah.
So the other thing is just being intentional. It's intentionality. It goes all the way around, like you'll recognize on this podcast, we'll probably be talking a lot about being intentional with each other, being intentional with your kids, but it's also being intentional about your home. Because, like growing up for us, because we lived in a hoarding environment and it just wasn't as like clean, there's an underlying anxiety there. Like you're just not as on top of it. And so when you remove all of that, you still have to be intentional about removing it, right? So that you can always have that clear mind and you can really enjoy each other and you can really be creative. But being intentional is behind every creative endeavor requires intentionality, right? Like in order to be creative, you have to be intentional about being creative. So if you know that you want to be creative, like us, like at the beginning of the year, we're like, we are going to freaking do this already. Like it's been a dream of ours for years. And, no better time than the present. Like we just have to stop waiting for the right time and we just need to really get our lives together and get us to a place where we feel like we're not having to catch up all the time.
Yeah.
And we worked really hard. We've been intentional about it and it's really, I feel like, paying off. Like here we are, like things aren't perfect. The lights are going off and we're trying to figure out our sound.
Our camera's turning off. We have no idea why.
We are not techies here. We don't know what we're doing. I'm not going to lie. But the reality is it's raw. And it's real, and that's who we are, and we're committed to it. And I promise you, it'll get better. Like, as we go along, we're going to learn and we're going to perfect ourselves, but you have to start somewhere. And it's the same thing with your home. Like, you have to start somewhere. So my advice to you is to start somewhere by getting yourself a planner and commit. You and your spouse commit to sitting down and really talking about your schedule broken down in like half-hour increments or, whatever works best for you. But it's really important that not one or the other sits down to do it because you are doing this family thing as a unit.
You're a
doing
team.
it together, which is why we're like, let's remove the whole it's not my job, because the moment you said I do, you surrendered that.
Yeah.
And so,
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point. So the points, just to reiterate, get a family planner, 1 room a week to deep clean. Number 3 was 1 load of laundry a week.
Yes.
And also, another thing that we do just before we close up, one thing we do is while one parent is maybe doing something with the kids, maybe we're getting the kids dressed, brushing their teeth, maybe Ashley is doing homeschool, I or the other spouse will be doing one of the chores. So perfect time, a lot of times where Ashley's doing homeschool, I'm actually doing the laundry. Or I'm cleaning up the kitchen after breakfast. So it's already getting this head start. And so there's like those mundane things.
Or you can obviously you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to be doing chores while the others, you could be hanging out with your kids. One parent's hanging out with the kids and the other parent's getting alone time, Then that way, at least you're getting something done. Like you're getting something accomplished.
Yeah.
And
it's good.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think we hit the main points, baby.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's a game changer. Just to reiterate, please implement these things. Our life is changing before our eyes.
Yeah.
The stress level, the anxiety, it's gone down astronomically.
So much.
The creativity has gone through the roof. The inspiration, even working out. Like, we're working out more. We're sleeping better.
And that wasn't happening before, you guys.
Yeah. We were just consumed in this endless cycle. And here we are on the other side of this after just a few months of intentionality and a little extra effort at first just to kind of get over that hump. And all of a sudden, we're finding ourselves, we're coasting.
Yeah.
Like I say, we've never worked on the house less, and it's never been so clean.
Yeah.
Here we are months in.
Yeah, and we want to see all of you out there doing the same exact thing, because every single one of you has something to say in this world, and your marriage has something to say in this world as well. And so that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. This may sound simple. It may sound like a, really simple thing, but I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And let's get off of that struggle bus. So, thank you for tuning in today.
Yes.
I hope that was of some sort of help to you, and I hope that you implement our tips and want to come back and listen again.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. We will see you next time on the Raw Sugar Podcast.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching today. If you want to see healthier, thriving marriages like we do, please like, subscribe, and share. Catch you in the next episode on the Raw Sugar Podcast.